Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. It's your boy, Jean, spelled like Jean.
And your boy, John, with the silent H. Welcome to episode number 39 of the Work for Change podcast. So to start this podcast off, Jean said he has some ideas of what he wanted to talk about. So what are we talking about?
We're just going into it just like that?
Yeah, man.
There's like
there's no buffer this week.
Yeah, I
know.
No
buffer.
It's like literally just going right into it.
So, because we were talking about what we wanted to talk about on the podcast, and John was like, I actually have some ideas. And then he was like, do you want me to tell you what they are? And then he was like, never mind. I'm going to bring it up to you on the podcast. So this is literally whatever we're going to talk about. I have no idea.
So the rean why you want to know right away is because you're stressed out.
I'm stressed out. Yeah.
Because you don't know what I'm going to bring up.
I'm already sweating. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No. I mean, it was just like, I don't want to come to the podcast with nothing. Right?
Yeah, of course.
That would be the worst podcast in the entire world, listening with nothing. However, it's been like a really crazy week. So to have a lot of time to set aside to think about, all right, let's think about the layout, let's think about this. I didn't really have that this week. Mm-hmm. So that blends perfectly in with what I want to talk about. Wow, what a great segue.
Beautiful. Brilliant.
This morning, I was stressed AF. Okay?
Yeah, you were.
And I don't get that way. Mm-hmm. I do not ever get that way because I'm typically let's float through life, let's have some fun. I just want to like if you never set any expectations and you never fail, like those are the negative sides. In reality, like a lot of people will say like, oh wow, like you can, I handle disappointment well, or I don't get my expectations up for something. I just kind of plan for the worst kind of scenario. And that's kind of how I've lived life forever.
Well, me and you are very similar with that. Because I recently took, this is random, but I recently took the Myers-Briggs test, and we're both the same thing. INFP, I think is what it was.
I'm ISFP.
ISFP. Yeah. We're both the same thing, so that's what I am too, I guess. And so I'm the same way of like I try not to set expectations just because maybe it might be from our past. Like we had a lot of people that would say things, they were going to do things, and they just wouldn't come through. Yeah. So yeah, I try not to set too many expectations, and then that was actually like hammered home more for me because you know that I really enjoy Stoicism and that kind of philosophy, and that's one of the biggest tenets of Stoicism, right? Is your expectations, like you're not supposed to really set your expectations super high, and it sounds kind of dreary when you hear it like that, but it's like expect the bad things to happen, so when they do, you're ready for it, right? Or if they do, you're ready for it.
I think that's just how your brain has decided to compartmentalize Stoicism. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's actually what Stoicism is all about. Well, because you hear, like, who were the greatest Stoics out there? They were generals and leaders and Caesars.
Not all of them.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, the ones that we have their writings and stuff for.
Well, one of the most prolific Stoics he was a slave. I think it might be Epictetus. Mm-hmm. He was a slave for his whole life.
So what I'm saying, though, is, one, he is the outlier, and then two, the other ones are extremely well off in their life. Yeah. They did extremely well.
Marcus Aurelius is one of the biggest ones. Yeah. He was the emperor. But
exactly.
He was like one of the most prolific emperors. Apparently he was very fair too. Like in history he wasn't like a crooked emperor. He was very, very fair, but that's besides the point.
So it's not that they didn't have big expectations. Because obviously, if you're going to be the emperor of the greatest nation that has ever existed, mm-hmm. you need to have high expectations. You need to have your bar set high. But when people fall under that bar, it is not going to cause your life to derail. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say it's not setting high expectations. I would say it's when things don't go your way. That's when you learn, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it, so what's the next thing I can do?
Yeah, like one of the biggest things is understand what's in your control and what's not in your control, right? And that's something that I try and think about daily, and I mean, I still struggle with it all the time, but what can you control in life? And the amount of things is very small, right? Almost all of it comes down to your reaction to things that happen to you. So you can control how you react to those things.
Yeah, well... A man's character is not based on his actions, but his reactions. Yeah. You can have the best smile in the entire world, and if someone crosses you and you, like...
freak out.
Cut them down, freak out, talk about them behind their back, that's who you are.
Well, and then
not who you are when the sun's shining. You're the person in the darkness.
Absolutely. And then it goes into, I know you want to talk about stuff, but it goes into, like, with fitness and weight loss and health, it goes into that perfectly. Because you're not who you, like if you stick to your diet when everything's perfect and everything's great and you know everything's going bam bam bam, that's fine. But when you go on vacation or or when you go and like you have to move, or when all of those things are going on, how do you react to those things? Or like when your meal prep goes bad for some reason, or what, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's all about how you react to those things. Because normally when we fall off any sort of routine, it's because our routine got a little disarrayed, and then our reaction to that is either, well, screw it, or I'm going to push through this.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, and I mean, again, reactions are okay. They are part of survival.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's when you live in those reactions, and those kind of become your thing.
Yeah, I would say a way to even think about that, saying you're not what happens to you or how you react. I would say it's how you react after a long period of time, right? Because like you can react negatively, like I do that sometimes, right? Like react negatively, and then I think about it. Like we recently this week, like we had kind of a fight, I guess you could say, where we both reacted in a bad way, and for me, my bad reaction is to just shut down, right? But then after a while, I was able to be like, "Yo, I'm sorry about that." Blah, 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 right? Like, but if I were to live in that reaction and be like, no, I'm mad, I'm upset, and I'm not gonna hear what you have to say, I'm not any of that stuff, then that's when it gets really, really negative, right? When you're able to see the reaction as negative and fix it from there, I think that's totally fine too. Yeah.
I am not a parent. Surprise, surprise. But one of my biggest fears was that because every parent, every kid has some scar from their parents. Like we all do. We're all dealing with our dad wound or our mom wound or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's terrifying. I don't want to do that to a child. Like I don't want to bring a child up into a scar. But I was talking to a children's pastor at the church I used to go to. And I was explaining that to them. Like, I'm terrified of that. I don't want to be the scar of someone else.
Yeah.
And what they were kind of saying was like a lot of the times, like all of us are imperfect. All of us mess up and fall short of expectations. But when after you fall short of the expectation, maybe you yell, maybe you do something stupid, whatever. I don't know. If you can go up to the child or go up to the person you hurt, go up and be like, hey, that reaction was uncalled for. That was not what I wanted. I'm going to change that. And don't just say it, be about it, right? Like, the problem is a lot of times people apologize.
Yeah, talk is cheap, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, all of that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So, I was just really stressed.
Yeah.
I had a long work week full of other things, and I am at this new point in my life. And I think it's as I'm approaching 30, as I'm approaching marriage, as I'm approaching a family in the future, and like, how am I going to provide for all of that? And how am I going to be, like, worth trusting? You know, like, if for my entire life, I'm working part-time jobs, like, it's going to be really hard to support a family.
Yeah.
Especially in San Diego. You know, like, you need 2 full-time jobs to even
make ends meet.
Yeah. You know, it's, like, ridiculous right now. So all that's kind of been going through my brain, and it's kind of like I am no longer okay with this zero expectations, with zero expectations comes zero failures, zero shortcomings, zero, like, that way of living does not work for me. It does not work for anyone, but especially now that I want to make a change and I want to be someone who is respectable and admirable and moves forward and gets the ball rolling. Like, these are qualities that don't work towards that. You can't accidentally fall into success. Like, you have to work hard for it. And so I'm realizing that there are some habits, there are some things in my life that I have that are preventing me from doing that. The very fact that I'm almost 30 years old and my current job right now is part-time is frustrating. And I know I've got other things. It's not like I'm playing Xbox all the other times. Like, I don't even have one of those. But, like, I am doing other things. But the fact that now I can't support that has been driving me to action.
Yeah, well, it's kind of
been
opened your eyes a
gnawing
little
at
bit.
my brain. And so, with that, I have been and planning ahead, like, 5-year plan. What? I don't have that, like, at all. 3-year plan. Nope. Next year plan. I have an idea of what I'd like, but I don't have any of those plans. I don't have any of those, like, all right, here's what we need to get to. Here are the steps I need to take in order to get there. So I've been trying to change that, and it doesn't come natural for me, and it's been very hard. And like, I am not just like drained because I'm doing long days, but like I am mentally drained because I'm trying to exercise thought processes and patterns that I never do. And so my brain is just tired of trying to find these new paths to like whatever, you know? And so it all accumulated to this morning. I was just like stressed out. And when you work at a church, typically what the schedule is Sunday through Thursday is your work week. Friday, Saturday is your weekend because Sunday's a work day. Mm-hmm. You're there early, you're there late, and you're doing things during the entire period of frame. So for my like work day at the church, and it goes from like 6:30 to 1. Mm-hmm. So it's not 8 hours, but it's still a long day.
Well, and it's a very intense day.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts.
For sure.
So this is like the day we're recording is Friday, and it's kind of like my Saturday. And so typically I wake up and I go to the 6:30 a.m. class because that's the class that I get to go to with Sam before she goes to work. Mm-hmm. But this morning it was like, nope, I slept in. I'm not doing it. I was just like, my body was stressed. My brain was tired. I was sore. I was just like, it almost felt like, I know like I'm not the first person ever to describe these feelings, but it literally felt like if I was like a boat, a little tiny boat, the waves and the torrential downpour and everything was just swirling all around me, and I couldn't get any footing.
Well, it sounds like anxiety.
Yeah, which I never deal with because I've never had a goal that I'm like chasing down relentlessly. And I think that when you never have those goals, you don't experience an anxiety because there's no reason to experience anxiety.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, you know, other people may have something in their brain that causes anxiety, you know, whatever. So not talking about that. I'm talking about like in a standard, you know, you're trying to achieve a goal. You realize I have to work really hard to get that goal. You're kind of nervous that maybe you don't have what it takes to do what it takes to get to the goal.
You're literally explaining how I feel a lot of times.
Yeah.
I've talked about like my anxiety and like what I think might be slight manic depressive stuff that I deal with. Because there's days where I legit feel like I could take on the world. Like I could film 4 videos, 2 workouts, and like by the end of the day I could go on another walk and I'm fine. Like everything's good. And there's other days where it's like getting out of bed is hard, right? But like with anxiety, I would say, especially with the job that I have now, which is, you know, content creation, YouTube, Instagram, if you want to call it that, you know, everything that I do. Anxiety is, I think it's just kind of normal to feel that, I would say, a little bit at least for me, because there is no boss for me, right? There is no, for me, for what I do, I'm not trying to make this about me, but, you know, I'm trying to relate a little bit. For me, what I do, there's never, I could always be doing more, without a doubt. That's how I feel, at least. And so, like, what you were explaining about, like, the storm going on, and, like, you're just like, that's how I feel sometimes. Not all the time, for sure. Like, today I feel really good. I got a video up this morning, and, like, for me, I would say one of the biggest ways to cure that anxiety is to work hard. You know, it's definitely not always the cure, but like if I feel like I've been lazy, sometimes the truth is that I kind of have been, you know, like, so for me yesterday, it was really good to just really work really hard on that video and get it out.
So for me, it's the working hard that caused it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, cause it was like again, it's like, was it enough, you know? And that's like, that's a hard question to answer. That is a very humanitarian, that is a very human question to ask. I was reading this book, and it was really interesting, and this is far, far, far off topic, but this talking about, like, the gods of old, if you will, and, like, of ancient civilization, and the anxiety that cultures felt, because they did, as far as they knew, gods were mean, gods were bad, they wanted to crush humans. And so
when you hear the old Greek stories of gods,
yeah,
it was always, they were very flawed gods.
Yeah, they're very flawed gods, and we were just in their midst.
Almost in their way a lot of times, yeah.
And so, and a lot of them a lot of the times humans were created to do the work the gods didn't want to do. Or it was always a very, like, subservient kind of, or we were two gods were at war and the blood was shed on earth and we were created out of just chaos and So there was this like, now imagine you're early human and you're like, I don't know what the gods want. I have no clue. So let me just offer the sacrifice, you know, and then it's like, hopefully they give us rain so that we can have food and crops. And then the rain comes and they go, oh, God's happy with us. Good. Oh, we should probably sacrifice because he's happy with us. Oh, I want to make sure that he knows I'm, you know. And then it's like, so then you're hoping that you have enough sacrifices to show the gods that you are happy. Needless to say, bringing that to today in our brains, like the gods of work, the gods of capitalism, consumerism, the gods of always productivity and wanting to please the person above us, our boss,
and then even take it even further to now social media, right? Like the gods of like trying to show off or like show that you're this or you're that. Like this is something I saw today, and I was just like, why is this happening? And it was literally, it's just for likes. That's it, right? But there was an Instagrammer, I don't really want to say the name.
Don't say it.
But they did what they called the watermelon challenge. They were in the store.
Oh, gosh.
This dude's really buff. Grabbed a watermelon in an aisle and smashed it. Watermelon all over the ground. So now someone has to clean that up. And I'm just like, why are we promoting this?
Yeah.
And it's just because for clout and for likes.
Yeah.
You know, to serve the gods of Instagram. Yeah. You know, the gods of likes or whatever you want to call it. Like
approval.
Yeah, of approval.
And so we take it and we go like, well, hopefully I did enough. And then you get the raise. And then you go like, oh, well, I want to make sure that they know I deserve that raise. So let me work even harder now that I'm in this new position, now that I have this new subscriber number, now that this is something that you've dealt with, is like when you shout out a smaller YouTube channel, now all of a sudden they feel all this pressure of like, well, I have 1,000 new subscribers, like I need to make content that's good enough for them. So now what you liked what they were doing, they now no longer feel is good enough, so they stop doing it.
Dude, it's crazy that you even bring that up. I haven't thought about that in a while, but a lot of people ask me like why I don't shout out XYZ people. I've done it, and more, I would say 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
7, maybe 7. I would say 8 out of 10. They end up not making videos anymore. Yeah. Because they're stressed out, which is understandable because I was super stressed out.
I felt the stress when you shouted me out once.
When my video went viral and I ended up on the Ellen show and all that stuff happened, dude, I've never felt so much stress in my life because I felt like, okay, I need to do better now because XYZ, when in reality it's like people are here because of what you were doing before anyways. Yeah. And so I definitely feel that's why I'm very cautious about who I like shout out, or I don't really do collabs anymore just because it hurts when I see someone that was doing good that now that they have these followers that, and I would say I have a really awesome base of people that follow me, you know, that would even go over and, you know, follow whoever it might be. But it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are because it's the stress that you put on yourself, you know? Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a while, but it's true, man. Like, it's stressful.
But we make fun of people 6,000 years ago who had these gods. And we're doing the same thing. We just have new names for them. Yeah. And that's honestly, like, I'm not, like, this isn't some, like, brand new thing that I'm saying right now. Like, that's basically the premise of Neil Gaiman's book, American Gods. It's basically the premise of a lot of people's stuff, is they realize, oh, what we used to make fun of these early people, we're still doing today. But a lot of people don't think of it that way. And they kind of be like, oh, well, they were primitive. We don't need to worry about that today. And it's like, no, we do. We've just renamed them.
Okay, so like talking about that Instagrammer that did the watermelon thing, right? If you were to explain that to someone that didn't know what Instagram was, and you said, yeah, they crushed a watermelon in the middle of an aisle, for what? Yeah. For likes? But why? What do likes do? Nothing really.
Yeah, nothing.
It's like, what? Yeah. It just doesn't, and so you could like, and imagine someone, I don't know what the world will look like in 6,000 years from now, right? But if you told them that story, they'd probably be like, huh? Yeah. You know?
I do think that there is an element of, when we talked about this when Ben was on the podcast the second time, but like, I think we're going to look back at social media when it first started and look at it the way we looked at cigarettes. You know, like where there were like full-on promotions saying this is what cool people do. Yeah. And then we're going to look back and be like, we killed a lot of people. Oh, you know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy that, I mean, I know killed is an intense word, but yeah. I mean, I would say it's fair. Yeah. I'm actually really excited because Instagram recently has, in a couple different countries, I think Canada's one of them, maybe Australia, but they've started this campaign where they hide the likes.
Yeah, I've heard about.
So like,
I heard
say if it's my post, I could see the likes,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody else can. I think that's awesome because that would promote people putting up what they actually want to put up. Because I mean, I've fallen victim to it, right? Like maybe I wanted to post something and be like, I know this isn't going to get as many likes as, say, a transformation picture, XYZ, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so you just don't post it. Or you post something that maybe you weren't planning on posting, but you're like, I need to post something and I know this will get me a good amount of likes.
Yeah.
And then it gets even more sinister when you go down the rabbit hole of Instagram. I think that, like them doing that, I think that I'm not sure what other influencers, I hate that freaking word, but what like other people on Instagram might think that have a following. I'm not sure if most people would be excited for it or not, but I am 100% for that.
Yeah, I think that the biggest pushback is from companies.
Yeah.
Because they don't know, like let's say they have an influencer that they say, you need to post this many times, and then, or whatever, you need to get this much engagement, and now they can't see it. They can't see the engagement. But like, when have ever big companies been concerned about the mental wellness of people?
Oh, yeah. No,
Never. It's always turning a profit.
Mm-hmm.
It's always what it is. And so to like, there are companies out there that do genuinely care. It's not most of them, and it's not the big ones.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not the big ones. The big ones will care about stuff when it becomes trendy and cool to care about it. You'll see that all the time now. But like, do they actually care about the person behind it, or do they care about the profit behind it? And a lot of the times it's the profit behind it. Back to what I was talking about though. So I was very stressed. Mm-hmm. I think we've spent 20 minutes talking about my stress.
Yeah.
Which is not helping
This
the
is your
case.
therapy
I'm just kidding.
session.
I know, guys. Welcome to therapy.
Again.
Again, it's just when you have to talk, when you get to talk for this long, it's what ends up happening.
It's true, man.
So, very stressed. Very, very, very stressed. So what did I do? Well, I went downstairs, and it was already late. I slept in. Not crazy amount, but
yeah, late for you.
late for me. I slept until 8.
Yeah,
which is
I
pretty
was
late.
very surprised.
Yeah.
I went on a run and you weren't downstairs before I left.
Yeah.
Which I was like, is he okay up there?
Yeah.
Because normally you wake up at 5:30.
4:30.
4:30.
Yeah. So I set my alarm at 4:30 this morning, and then went nope, and then set my alarm for 5:30. I was like, oh, I'll still do everything I want to do, just without everything in the morning. And then at 5:30, I was like, nope. And then the gym came and went because I normally go to the 6:30 a.m. class, and I was just like, not today, because the idea of like today was a hard workout. It's Friday Die Day. That's what we do at our gym. It's like typically it's a longer either chipper or broken up workout, but it's typically around 30 minutes. Unless you just crush it and do it in 16 minutes, like I did today. Anyway, looking at it from, like, getting out of bed to do that workout was so stressful. A workout, a simple workout. But I was just like, I can't do it. Nope. And so then I went downstairs, and I was thinking about all the things I needed to do. And I was like, okay, just stop. Just stop for 1 second. And I put on some music. You heard the music I had on. It was like piano driven, very calm. And then I like took out my Bible and I read, which I'm just kind of reading through, and so I'm at Revelation right now, which isn't the most calming book.
Nope.
But you can still get good things out of it. And then I just journaled, and that was like what took up a big portion of my morning. Was I just started writing, and I was just writing how I felt. And typically, I journal every morning, except this week because I've been so busy, I haven't journaled once, which is no surprise why it all compounded onto Friday night morning, Thursday night.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean, it's been, I could tell that you've been off
yeah,
past couple days. Not the beginning of the week, but like the past couple days.
yeah.
For sure.
And so, I just journaled, and I was just thinking and trying to process and just work through things, and I just kept on journaling. And then you got back from your run.
I need to tell the story a little bit.
What?
Because you're talking about all this calming stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you had this great morning. So I went on a run this morning while Jean was still sleeping, because I'm dedicated, #grind. And so I went on a run. I was like, I'm just going to run like 6 miles. And so about half of a mile into the run, I realized I had to go to the bathroom really bad.
Half of a mile in?
Half of a mile in,
Oh,
dude.
I thought you had half of a mile left.
Half a mile into the run. Like, it wasn't terrible, right?
Yeah.
But like I noticed, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to need to go to the bathroom probably when I get done, you know. As the run was going longer, I could feel it more and more. The last mile, you know how like when you know you're about to go to the bathroom, it just gets monumentally worse.
Yeah.
So like the last like quarter mile, it was like, so Jean's having this nice, calming...
Piano's playing, I'm journaling.
I literally ran all the way up to the back door, swung the door open. Jean stares at me, and I'm just like, I gotta go to the bathroom, gotta go to the bathroom, gotta go poop, gotta go poop. Literally just straight into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And that's how Jean saw me this morning. That was their first interaction. But like
Yeah.
that's how he saw, that's how his morning and my morning collided this morning.
Like, yeah.
Oh, the absolute opposite of what you were doing.
Oh, my goodness.
Sweaty, like,
Yeah.
going to the bathroom when you're drenched in sweat is horrible. Too.
Anyway,
Sorry.
But what did okay, so I do have my journal time. I finish. Do you remember what I said on the couch? What you were sitting on the couch?
Yeah, something along like I just needed to do this.
I feel calm.
Yeah.
Like, literally those 3 words. I was like, I feel calm. And, like...
I think I said I feel sweaty.
Yeah. But, like... the crazy power of just so here's where my brain started going, and then we can continue going from there. But there, just to give some credibility to what I'm about to say.
All right,
There
break
was-
it down, John.
There's a study from the University of Rochester Medical Center, okay? And they're talking about the power of journaling for mental health. No, this isn't a surprise to anyone, okay? Like, it's not like I'm the first person ever saying this.
Figure this out, yeah.
Yeah. But one of the ways to deal with overwhelming emotion is to find a healthy way to express yourself. This makes a journal a helpful tool in managing your mental health. Journaling can help you manage anxiety, reduce stress, and cope with depression, which is my natural inclination. Like, on a regular day, I'm just a little bit under the standard like line of here's happiness. Just my normal is a little bit under. I don't think anything's wrong with that. That's just who I am.
Yeah, some people are just a little bit more melancholy than
Exactly.
others.
So journaling helps control your symptoms and improve your mood by helping you prioritize problems, fears, and concerns. It tracks any symptoms day to day so you can recognize what triggers and learn ways to better control them. So if you're like stress, you can be like, wait, let me look back. Oh, wow, the day before I XYZ, like, talk to my parents, and that always stresses me out, or whatever. And then it provides an opportunity for positive self-talk and identifying negative thoughts and behaviors. So keep in mind, journaling is just one aspect of a healthy lifestyle. To get the most benefits, make sure you also relax and meditate each day, which, like, that could be mindful thinking, that could be reading your Bible, that could be reading whatever version of scripture you want to read, like whatever. Eat a healthy, balanced diet, exercise regularly, get in some activity every day, treat yourself to plenty of sleep, and then stay away from alcohol and drugs. All right, you people.
Yeah, hoodlums.
Yeah, hoodlums. And then it gives a couple examples how to write, and it says that the medical reviewers were Watson, Fraser, and Ballas. So there were actually
Shout
people.
out to them.
Yeah, shout out to them. Okay, so here's what that was the medical jargon and all them talking about that, which I think is really good. And it's not a surprise. We all know that we should journal. Why don't we? It's not a priority to us. But for me, I just needed a moment away. Mm-hmm. And I think that this applies to everyone. You just need to take a moment away. Take a moment away from everything, all your issues, all your problems, all your to-do lists, all your tasks, all your whatever. Take a moment away. Because when you can step away for a moment, what that does is that gives you perspective. When you, if you put your eye against your hand, or your hand against your eye, you can't see anything else anymore. It's too close. You're too much in it. And as soon as you pull it away, you can see, everything else around it. It gives you perspective. And it gives you perspective in 2 ways. One, you realize that all the good you're doing in the entire world is nothing. A drop in a hat. There are people who are doing better things than you. There are people who are better than you at what they do. That doesn't mean you shouldn't still strive. But it takes that pressure off of being the best. And then it also gives you perspective in that all your failures, people have failed way worse gone way deeper down and have risen above it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that when you can take a moment away from everything, what that does is that gains perspective. When you can get perspective, realizing that I'm not as good as I think I am or I'm not as bad as I think I am, that is the impetus to help you change.
And like I would say, everything that you're saying, it doesn't have to be like, for you, it was a few hours almost.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like that. Like,
It shouldn't be that. It can literally be just like a checkup every morning.
Like a few minutes. Because I get it. Like, we're all busy, right? And some of us, especially like if you have kids and single mother or whatever, like you're going to be more busy than I am, at least, for sure. So you don't need to spend a ton of time on this. And my biggest thing is that whenever I would try to start reading or start journaling or start whatever, I would always try and be like, I'm going to do an hour. I'm going to do 45 minutes from the start. It's never worked. So I'm right now I'm like doing a devotional, and it literally takes me like 3 minutes. But like I have done it every day for the past like 2 months, right? And for me, that's a big deal because I have always been terrible at it. So like it doesn't need to take a ton of time. It's just about getting those reps in, and then you can like, if you're like, oh, maybe I can I want to add a few more minutes to this because I see the value, then it could be like that. But I think it's important, like just understand you don't need to be some professional at it. That's like you're able to sit there and journal and do it for 45 minutes, because even when I started like journaling, which I've actually, no surprise, I've fallen off of it. I would like compare myself to my girlfriend. My girlfriend she loves, she can sit for hours. Dude,
Yeah, I can't do that.
For hours and write and read. I'm not joking. After 10 minutes, I cannot. My mind is racing with so many other things. So for me to try and force myself to sit for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes every morning, it worked for a little bit, but then I've fallen off of it. So I need to get back to it and maybe just start with 3 minutes, 5 minutes in the morning instead
or just
of
a sentence.
Yeah.
I think a lot. Like I think, and I've talked about this before, but like if you can make a goal that is embarrassingly small, you're going to do more. Like if your only goal is one sentence a day and you went through all the work of finding a pen, getting your journal, sitting down, having some nice coffee and some nice music playing, like you're going to write more than a sentence, or whatever. Like you don't need to have, that's just my example. But
it's about becoming a person that does that thing, right? Like I'm reading the book right now, and I actually am reading it called Atomic Habits. And one of the things he talks about, James Clear, is about just like becoming the person. Like he talks about so many different things that you want to make a habit, but one of them that he brings up pretty regularly is like going to the gym. And like for a lot of people, they do the same thing that I did, was I'm going to go to the gym for an hour every day. I'm going to walk on the treadmill for an hour from the start. When he's like, instead, just try to drive to the gym. That's it. That's all you're doing. You're not going in. You're just driving to the gym. Because it's about becoming a person that does go to the gym. And then again, like you said, if you're going to take the time to drive to the gym, might as well go inside for 5 minutes at least. And if I'm being here for 5 minutes, it compounds. Like, so maybe it really is tough. 5 minutes on the treadmill is tough for you at the start, which it was for me. But that's all you can do. That's fine. Become a person that does that.
Yeah.
And then it's easier once you start feeling up to snuff that you can move the time up.
Yeah. And maybe maybe the treadmill's not for you too. It is a form of torture for me to be on a cardio device for multiple. I'd rather just be doing something that is cardio related than to be on a cardio machine.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's different. See, for me, I treadmill, no, I don't like doing treadmill, but like stair climber, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm able to watch videos. Like I'm able to just, it's almost, I'm going to watch videos anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So might as well just do it on the stair climber. The reason that this is off topic, but who cares? The reason I actually started doing the stair climber was like the first gym I went to, I would see people doing cardio equipment, and literally every time I would look up at people at the stair climber, they were always sweating a ton. And in my head, sweat was related to working hard.
Yeah.
When now I know it's just some people sweat more than others, but I would see people sweating so hard on the stair climber. So I'd be like, I want to try that out. And the first time I did it for like 2 minutes, and I was like,
Yeah.
and then, it's funny. Like everyone's different with like what they enjoy doing, obviously.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So that's my that's what I'm bringing to the table today. Is just if you can take a moment, you gain perspective. By gaining perspective, you realize what you can change, what you can't change, and then that's like, you can do anything if you're self-aware. Like, I really, truly, wholeheartedly believe that. Like, it's people who aren't self-aware that are finding themselves in ridiculous situations, right?
Like what? Give me an example.
Like, just if you are self-aware and you realize, like, hey, it's probably like, so, okay, Sam and I are in premarital counseling right now with our pastor, and it's awesome, and I absolutely love it. And his biggest compliment for us, or the thing he said was like, you too, because we have to take this long test, and then it's about our like compatibility and stuff, and then he gets the results, but we don't, and we don't take the test together, and then he has the results, and then he gives us a packet and goes like, here's what this means. And he's like, one of the biggest things was, by the way, he gave us approval so we can get married, so that's good. But one of the biggest things, he was like, your self-awareness is going to help you go forever, because I can realize that, like, I come from a difficult family, and that there are a lot of things when it comes to housekeeping that I literally just don't know.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that. We didn't have things that other people are used to. Okay, so this is just one example with like housekeeping and stuff. But the fact that I'm self-aware, the fact that I realize that when we, you know, whatever, and Sam goes, hey, take out the trash, it won't be this like, I never took out the trash before, why do I have to take the trash now? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, no, I didn't take out the trash because no one took out the trash, and then it just got overfilled, and everyone would always just dump stuff on top of it, and then it would get really bad, and the house would smell like, you know, like, oh, okay, like this is just what happens. This is what regular people do.
Yeah, like for us growing up.
It's a self-awareness that allows you to realize, maybe because the way I've been doing something, like maybe that doesn't have to be the way it always is done.
Yeah.
That's where self-awareness comes in. When you can realize, oh, this is detrimental to me.
Yeah.
Let me change it versus this is what I do. What do you mean I have to change it? This is what I do. Just because you do something doesn't mean you should always do something. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just I don't know. So that's where I think, like, in anything, if you can be self-aware, then you can realize, oh, okay, it doesn't have to be this way. Or if you're self-aware, you can be like, no, here's why this way works, because blah, 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 blah.
And I would say another way to explain, like, being self-aware is not being a victim. You know? Because I think that a lot of people like to turn themselves into a victim. Like, when you turn yourself into a victim of whatever, right, of life, it's a lot easier to make excuses of why this, why that. Like, you know, for us, one of the things when we were growing up, it was, I know for me at least, it was weird when, like, a kid had their mom and their dad in their life.
Yeah. I
just was like, what? You know, your mom and your dad live together, and like you all live together and you eat dinner together as a family? Yeah. What? That's weird. You know, in my head, I felt like it was weird. But like, yeah, I could sit here and be like, I'm a victim of that, you know, or I could be self-aware and understand that, yeah, that maybe that's not super normal. Maybe it was normal for us, but, you know, and like becoming a victim I could go on about that. In anything in life, I think, is always going to hinder how much progress you can make, because you're always going to be like, well, I shouldn't have to work as hard because of, like, look at how hard life has been for me. Mm-hmm. And that's just not a good place to be.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, you're preaching. Mm-hmm. I know that feeling, that it's like double as hard just to be on an equal foundation as other people. Or, like, yeah, people's baseline, when their baseline is just like your goal, you know, like they're like, what they've always known is like, oh, if only one day I can get there. And they just don't realize how lucky and blessed and fortunate they are in their opportunity. So then when they drop down to something that is under what they want, they'll start complaining, or they'll start whatever. And it's like, you don't understand. Like, if only you could have, like, if only other people had what you have on a bad day, how grateful they would be. But that's just for anything, because like even in our poverty, even how bad things were when we were growing up, and every single person who's listening, no matter how bad things are, on your worst day is still someone's goal.
Yeah, it's true. Especially if you're in America.
Especially if you're in America.
Or
and there's
any
like developed country, like, especially there, like, if you have the technology to be listening to this podcast, like, you're in the top 1%, which is insane. Mm-hmm. You're in the top 1%. Your bad day, your worst day is still someone else's, like, goal.
I think it's good to feel that, but I think at the same time it's dangerous. Like, you shouldn't always only feel like that, because I think it's okay to have times when you're not feeling 100%, you know, because if you're always comparing yourself to, you know, the kids in Africa that have nothing, it's like you're always going to feel shame for feeling any sort of burnt out or any sort of like stressed out. And so I've struggled with that too. And so it's finding the balance of it.
But again, it's about perspective.
Yeah.
Like, because what you'll do is, and when you take time away, you get that, because we never think about that. That's not happy and fun and like go us to think about like, wow, I'm even on my worst day, I'm better than others. You know what I mean? Like, I've got it better than other people. Like, that's not a good feeling to think about, because then you're like, oh, all those other people. So you realize that things aren't as bad as they could be, but then you also get to realize I'm not as great as I thought I was. Like, it's just a nice, humbling, like, humility is not, woe is me, I'm just the scum of the earth, I'm a worm on the ground, who could ever love me? That's not humility. Humility is recognizing your place. That's all it is. Pride is thinking too highly of yourself. I don't know what is thinking too lowly of yourself. I don't know what I would call that. Maybe not depression, but something along those lines. Humility is recognizing where you are, that you're not the greatest, but you're not the worst. And I think we can all deal with just a little bit more humility in our life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, without a doubt. And then, like, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about, like, the victim mindset and just kind of relate it to things that maybe aren't as grandiose, just a little bit more.
That's where my brain goes, okay? I think very ethereally, and I don't, like, come down to earth that often.
Yeah. Well, I think small because I am a worm. But I
always think of, have you seen the cartoon Hercules?
Yes, of course.
Where it's like the two little minions like turn into the worms.
Yeah,
like, we are unworthy! We are unworthy! That's literally what I think of every time I say worm.
Are they gonna remake Hercules?
I don't know.
I feel like
The Rock.
I feel like
The
that
Rock was
could
Hercules.
be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I saw Lion King and I wasn't a fan, and people were mad at me because I wasn't a fan.
It was just kind of. I just wish that they brought some animation to their faces. That's all I wish.
Yeah.
Well, I wish a couple things, but I don't want to like ruin it for anyone. So
yeah, no spoilers or anything. But
yeah,
I thought that's besides the point. But I think Hercules could be cool. I know they're making that Mulan one, but I think they're taking Mushu out of it.
They took Mushu out, and then I don't think that.
Are there any musical? Is it musical at all?
I don't know, and I don't think Mulan is pretending she's
a man.
Yeah, I think it's like.
I really hope they.
I think it's more like, no, this is a girl, and everyone knows she's a woman.
Yeah.
And everyone knows she's a woman, and that's what makes her awesome.
Yeah.
I think they're going that way instead of like, wow, this woman has to pretend to be a man to be accepted.
Yeah, it's crazy when you. I would almost think they have to do that now.
Yeah. Exactly.
I hope they. Yeah, but then are they gonna make? My favorite Disney song is "Make a Man of You." Like, that is my favorite Disney song.
And that song is also so culturally or politically incorrect.
Now it is. Yeah. I love that song, though, man.
Yeah.
But, okay, so, like, talking about, like, the victim mentality and stuff like that, when it comes to... I kind of wanted to talk about, like, fitness, right?
Okay.
And so...
Fitness pizza in my mouth?
Yeah.
Hey.
But... So, like, you were talking about how sometimes, you know, if you want to go down that rabbit hole of victimhood and say, oh, it's not fair that I started from here and I have to work so hard to get to your point A, you know, and I started at point, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
F. Let's just call it F.
Yeah. Right? And so I'm trying to work to your starting point. A lot of people ask me, when will you be satisfied? Like, aren't you satisfied of where you've gotten, right? When it comes to like my fitness journey and stuff. And for me, I don't think I'll ever be satisfied. Not because I don't feel like I'm good enough, but it's because I'm always going to be chasing something. I think I just enjoy that. But I truly enjoy it, and I don't feel like upset. Like, I don't compare myself to, say someone's in the gym, right? We're doing a workout together and they beat me by a little bit. I don't think in my head, well, they were never 360 pounds. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't ever think that. I just kind of think, okay, well, I just have to work a little bit harder. And I think that you can flip it on its head of, okay, I need to work a little bit harder. It's something to be even more proud of, you know, getting to that point.
And that goes back into, like, what we talked about last week, like, athlete is a mindset. Mm-hmm. You know, like, a defeatist mindset is, well, they were never 360. Mm-hmm. Athlete mindset is like, oh, skill I can learn. Mm-hmm. You know, like, cool, let's learn it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and then another thing with the victim mindset is with like eating and stuff like that. It's definitely, I mean, it's difficult whenever I talk about diet, man. It's like I feel like I'm walking on in a minefield. But I think a lot of people that struggle with diets are trapped in a victim mindset. Especially not just struggle with diets, because you can struggle with diets and not be like trapped in a victim mindset.
I struggle with
not but I think
eating Chipotle.
People that struggle with diets, but then also say that they're not struggling, like I don't understand. This is, you know what I mean? You understand why you're struggling. You're eating pizza all the time.
Yeah,
there you go.
Okay, well, I haven't had it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you've actually been pretty good recently.
Yeah, but I was really stressed out this week. I had Chipotle 3 times.
Yeah, you did.
So let's just.
You didn't have any Taco Bell though.
No,
more
pizza.
There you go.
And Chipotle, like, if that's the bad thing you're eating, you're fine. Hey, hey, give me that.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Chipotle can
give me that.
I'm not gonna give it to you. I'm sorry. It's a victim mindset, John. But like, if you're a lot of people that I've helped lose weight and stuff, they. I'm trying not to like call anyone out in particular.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
You know what I mean? Or make it too obvious. But you know, I deal with a lot of people that
if people are still listening,
yeah, that's true.
They're committed.
They're
homies. Fine. Yeah.
A lot of people they'll say, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight because I'm eating this many calories. This is almost always it. I'm eating this many calories. And the fact of the matter is they might be eating that many. Say I'm eating 1,200 calories, right? I'm eating 1,200 calories. I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. I tracked my TDEE. This is the amount of calories I'm eating. They could very well be eating that many calories for 4, maybe even 5 days out of the week. But what people don't understand is that when you do go over, and I know this is getting into like the nitty gritty of like diet and stuff, but like when you do go over on Saturday, Sunday, and you go over by 4,000 calories, your net calories for the week, you've gone over. So that's why you're not losing weight. It's that simple, but people don't want to accept that.
Do people actually go over that much on the weekend?
Yes, dude. I'm telling you. Like if you're over, this is why people say when I started eating more, I lost weight. Because they think that they have, and in their mind, they really are only eating 1,100 calories. And there could be reasons like they might think they're eating 1,100 calories. And I mean, I don't recommend eating this many, but this is a number that I always get, thrown at. They truly do think they're eating that, and when in reality they might even be eating more because they're not tracking something correctly, and it's an extra, even if it's just an extra 300 calories a day over 7 days, right?
Yeah.
But on the weekends, like if you're just kind of going for it and they're not really caring and just being like, oh, whatever, it is what it is, I'm gonna snack on these chips and then drink some beers and yada yada yada, like it can add up for sure. Mm-hmm. Maybe not 3,000 calories both days, but like say 3,000 calories for both of those days. Not each, right? So 1,500 calories over. That's not that hard to do. Mm-hmm. But if you're only in a 200 calorie deficit all the other days, like you're way over even then, right? And so a lot of people they'll be too low in calories, and so to stick to that, they can do it for a few days, but then it's like you need to eat more, right? And so you end up, I don't want to say binging because it might not be a binge, but like overeating, you're back to square one. When if you just bumped your calories up a little bit throughout the week, you're not feeling that way on Sunday. You're like, I don't need to do that. I feel fine. And then you lose weight. So it's not, yes, you've bumped the calories up per day, but for the week, you're actually still down. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if for 7 days out of the week, you're eating 1,300 calories or whatever it might be, instead of 5 days out of the week, you're eating 1,000 calories, and then 2 days out of the week, you're eating, 3,500 calories.
Yeah.
You're still lower on more calories for the day. And so, but like it's a lot of people, with diet and stuff, it can become almost like a religion, man. When we look at when people get really attached to a certain type of eating, like, oh, this worked really well for me, so this is it. And anybody that has anything negative to say or say like it didn't work for me, it's like there's a level like you get upset about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's very dangerous because like what you eat is not who you are. Mm. Like what you eat, if you eat keto, if you eat IF, if you eat IFYM.
I don't know, man.
What?
You are what you eat.
That's actually a good point.
So,
But what you eat doesn't make up who you are.
Yeah.
Like what you eat is not a personality trait.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think it's a dangerous road to go down there. Like, obviously what you eat is very important, and like you want to be fueling your body, you want to be, you know, at a healthy body weight, you know, that's very important as well. But it's not like, it shouldn't be all you think about. It should not, your diet shouldn't be taking up most of your headspace.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And a lot of people, it ends up taking almost everything out. And it can be from a good spot, like you're trying to do better. And I think there's like a learning curve. Like if you're just starting out a new diet, or if you're just starting out trying to track calories, it will take up a lot more headspace just because you're not used to that. But eventually you need to be able to even it out, and it only take up a certain amount, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think like right where my brain went to immediately was like just thinking about people who, just because you are inclined towards one way doesn't mean that is the way you have to be always. Mm-hmm. I am inclined towards sorrow, depression, bipolar, whatever. I do not let that run me every single day. I do not let that be a free hall pass for how I live my life. And I feel like with people who are just kind of like, oh, well, I can't change. This is the way I am. They've allowed that to be their hall pass. They've allowed that to be their free token to living life the way they want to live it. When in reality, all they're really trying to do is take the pressure and the responsibility and the ownership of change off of them and onto something else. Because if it's not on them, then I can't ever change. Wow. Mm-hmm. Bummer.
Yeah, I think that if... I would be curious to see like what people that are actually like have been diagnosed and it's like very serious, whatever disorder they might have, what they would think about that. Because I think that there's...
But what percentage? Like what percentage of the population is that?
Yeah, well,
diagnosed,
that's
like,
where I was trying to go, right? So I think that it's been really, really good that the conversation about, you know, mental disorders and eating disorders has been opened to more people. But I think that there's definitely been some people that maybe before might not have felt like they had anything wrong with them. Or there might have just been a small thing that saw some sort of disorder and was like, that's me. I'm going to latch onto that without ever actually getting diagnosed. And I get like it's a very sticky situation talking about eating disorders and mental disabilities, stuff like that. It's definitely sticky, and like I'm not trying to step on any toes, but I can see where you're going with you. There's definitely been, you know, like what I've been watching, there's a couple of videos where like it's almost like people are using, it's like in vogue right now to have some sort of disorder.
So,
you know,
recently, what's the disorder that's called where you can't help but work out? Orthorexia?
That's more the food. That's like you can only eat healthy food.
Okay. What's the one where you can't help but work out?
I don't know what the name of that is. Workoutitis.
Yeah. And it's like, so people who like, they're obviously like not doing the things they should be doing in life, mm-hmm. and they're just like escaping reality and problems by going to the gym. And then they find out about this disorder that just happens to be like, oh, I go to the gym all the time. Mm-hmm. That's what I have.
Yeah.
That's why I do that. Wow. Mm-hmm. Like, that's crazy. And it's like, no, you know, like this is your poison to avoid your problems. That's all it is. Like, it's easier to avoid. It's harder to look at your problems in the face and say, I will overcome you. So you just go, I have that.
Well, and then even with what we're saying, even if you end up finding out you do have some sort of disorder, you went to a therapist and like started working with someone, it's never just going to be, they're never just going to be like, oh yeah, dude, that's what you have. Yeah. So that sucks. Like, life is going to be hard now.
It's like, here's how you live.
How do we work through this, and how do we have a good life regardless of whatever disorder we might have? And so I think that like no matter what, even if you do have that disorder, it's never an excuse to not be able to live a good life, or not be able to push yourself, or not be able to, you know, not play the victim, or whatever it might be, right?
I just feel like our culture has become so, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like we have just kind of excused people from taking responsibility.
Like the coddle culture.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that especially I've been accused of being fat phobic. I've been accused of being a terrible person. Like people saying that I am literally like, I hate fat people because I endorse the name of our podcast is Work for Change, right?
Yeah.
I endorse working to change your circumstance. I think that anybody can change their circumstance, but even saying that, or the name of my, YouTube channel and Instagram, Obese, that's been called fat phobic because it's saying, oh, if you're obese, you can't be obese. It's like, no, obviously what I mean is that it was just a play on words, really, but like it, without a doubt, it's crazy. And I think that I wouldn't say it's our culture, or it is, I would say it's a very vocal minority, because
that's how everything is, though.
But it's scary because I think that people, it's like when you try to even go against it, you get labeled as, you're fat phobic or you're this terrible person, when in reality I'm just trying to encourage people to, like, if you're not happy with the weight that you're at, you can change that. That's it.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, I think that our culture has been veering towards just acceptance of what you have and just being like, okay, which is, I think that for most people it is with good intention. I don't think that, I would say, again, there's definitely a small minority of where they believe what they believe to an extent, but they've realized that the super vocal minority is they're making money off of their whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like they have books that are coming out and yada, yada, yada. But I would say most people, like, they just want to be accepting of everybody, which is good, or accepting of everyone's flaws, which to a point is good, but at the same time, we shouldn't just accept our flaws if it's something that's literally like ruining our lives, right?
Yeah, and I think some, like, on the other end of it, like, there are voices out there that, like, are willing to speak up knowing they will be labeled that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, one of the people we had on the podcast, Jordan Syatt, like, he's going to say what he says.
Yeah.
And he's been labeled so many things, but, like, look at all the people he's helping.
Yeah.
And, like, what a big part is, like, the vocal minority or whatever, like, at some point, like, there is a need for the minority to be represented.
Yeah.
Because if it's all a majority, the minority gets drowned out. Mm. And I'm not advocating for that. But if the vocal minority isn't helping anyone, if there's no change happening, if there's no life change, if there's no, like, positive like, if that's not happening, and yet this hated person out there is like, wow, this person's life got on track. Wow, this person got their health under control. Wow, this person, like, what's the fruit of these voices, right? And, like, I think there is a need for representation in minority, like, not just, like, in everything. Like, if the majority is the only people who get to speak, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of the times when it is monetized.
Yeah.
Is when it goes down, like, unfortunately. But also, we live in America. At least we do. Mm-hmm. And capitalism is king. And that is the very essence of capitalism, is, like, monetize what you find value in. And then if other people find value in it, then it rises. Mm-hmm. Just a weird amalgamation of capitalism and health and like blending them all together, and you get this weird baby. Yeah. And now we're just trying to figure out how to raise that baby.
Yeah. I'm just thankful that I didn't just accept my circumstance. That's my point that I try and make to people is, if I would have just accepted where I was when I was 20 years old, like, I genuinely am not sure I'd be alive today.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, and I get that I'm only 26 years old, but the path that I was headed down was so destructive that I am genuinely not sure if I would be alive, or I am almost 100% positive I wouldn't have seen 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's why I'm so passionate about this, is because there are so many people out there that understand that, you know, being morbidly obese is not what they want for their life. And to sit here and make claims that it's, you know, okay and you should feel happy about being obese, again, I understand the intention for a lot of people is kindness and trying to accept, but should we accept a death sentence for people? That's my problem, right? Should we, like with cigarettes, we stopped accepting that.
Yeah.
And now you can't promote them really, you know, like there's so many laws on cigarettes.
Yeah.
And most people are like, yes, becoming a chain smoker is not good for your health, and you can't smoke on planes or in restaurants anymore because nobody wants to be around it. Not saying the same for if you're overweight, right? Like obviously if you're overweight, you're not hurting the people around you from being secondhand obese or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because again, it's such a hard situation to be in, because the people that are for it, their intentions are, for the most part, a lot of them are pure, and they're trying to just be accepting of others. But is it a good intention when the reality of the situation is the people that you're trying to make feel accepted are now going to die sooner?
Yeah.
That's the issue. And so it's hard, and I wish it's hard to talk about, because I know every time I bring it up, I'm going to get people that are going to be upset at me. But at the same time, it's like, what's more important? Mm-hmm. Dealing with people that are upset at me, or reaching out to more people that maybe do feel like they're a lost cause, maybe do feel like they are going to die soon. For me, it's worth it to maybe upset some people and then reach other people that are actually trying to change their lives and give them the tools to do that.
Yeah, and I think another thing is, like, we need to remember that not everyone is for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, your message will resound greatly with a good amount of people, and then it will offend people as well. Mm-hmm. And just like, I don't know, everything, like saying I'm a dog person, okay, well, that's not for everyone.
You're
saying
just
I'm a cat person.
You're a regular person.
Like, yeah.
When you said dog person, I was thinking like a person that was like half dog, half person.
No. Like, or like, you know, like whatever, just say a sentence. Great, someone disagrees with you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now what? You know, like just literally like, now what? We disagree. Cool, go preach your message, I'll preach mine. Mm-hmm. And then let's just not hate each other about it. Mm-hmm. Unless it's like a hateful message. Then, yeah, hate people about that.
Yeah.
That's fair. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode. We got super
ethereal. That's a good word that you used.
I like it. I like that word.
I don't know what it means.
It's like just kind of like spacey, like it doesn't really have any like grounding. It's just kind of like up there.
The Guardians of the Ethereum.
Is that
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
It could be.
But if you guys enjoyed this episode, let us know. You guys like did a lot of tagging last time, and that was really cool. Awesome. That was super fun. So do it again. You know, like screenshot, tag us. You can listen to us on Spotify, on YouTube, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on all of them. On Instagram, I am at Jean Glaude.
At Obese to Beast.
And we like to talk to you guys. We've had people talk. We've even had people like ask about things that we said in the podcast, and we'll respond to them. So, you know, just reach out. We love it. And until next time, peace.
Peace.